We are live.
Hi guys.
Hello, welcome to the podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Hayley.
And this is the Speed Mooting Partners in Crime podcast.
Episode 81.
81. We're flying through them, aren't we, Hayley?
We really are.
We're literally 19 episodes away from our 100th. What a milestone.
We need to do something special for that one.
Yeah, something special for that one. And then something special for the 104th, because that'll mean we've been recording for 2 years.
What?
Yeah. So, what? So we're 24 weeks away from having recorded for...
That is crazy.
Yeah. Actually, to be fair, 24 weeks sounds short, but it's the best part of 6 months, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's that's mental. So you've been here full time at Speed Mooting for about 18 months now, then, haven't you?
Gosh. If there's anyone listening to this who's been listening all along, you need to comment and let us know.
Yeah.
Maybe we do something special with our old-time listeners.
Yeah, if you've been here since episode 1, let us know. And also, if you're a new listener and you've gone back to the start, let us know as well, because, you know, some people might have done that. And hopefully, if you've done that, you'll notice, like, the brilliant quality we've got now. We're in a proper studio, good quality cameras. You can actually hear what we're saying at the start. So it's evolved over time, hasn't it? Because, you know, it was basically Hayley and I at the kitchen table. We had MacBooks in front of each other. And we had to just have the sound on one and not on the other to not get any interference. So I think because my voice was slightly louder, we put the microphone on yours. So we were literally recording into the inbuilt mics on the Macs, weren't we?
Yeah, sometimes it worked, sometimes it really didn't work. And then we upgraded to microphones, but we never really figured out how to have two microphones working at once without causing interference. So it didn't really make much of a difference. I still had to... in the editing process, like, move us the sound bars up and down constantly to get us the same, and it never 100% worked.
Yeah.
We were speaking to people at the Northern Pupillage Fair recently, and they, from the first episode that came to the studio, they were already saying, love the podcast, the new setup is amazing. It sounds so much better. We're like, we know.
I know.
Thanks for bearing with us for...
Yeah, thank you very much.
77 episodes of okay audio.
Yeah.
Now we're happy to bring you the real deal.
Yeah, this is the real deal. So yeah, thanks for being with us for the journey, and now you've got the good quality stuff.
Yeah.
So let's jump in. Let's name the episode, Hayley.
Okay.
So I mentioned last week. Now we're in the 80s. It's a tad better than the 70s for Formula One numbers, and we're on 81. So the second episode where we're in the 80s, and we've landed on a Formula One driver already.
Okay.
So let me
current driver.
Okay. So let me give you some hints. So he's from Australia.
I never know where anybody's from. That doesn't help me at all. And you know I'm terrible with accents and stuff, so I can't really pick up if someone's Australian or Austrian or
Every time I
Irish.
try and do it, because our priest is South African, isn't he? And if I try and do a South African accent, it just comes out Australian.
Yeah, John's got a knack for accents. You can have
I'm
a
good
go
at some
most
of them,
but yeah, that's the one.
I just can't do a South African accent, can I?
So anyway, continue.
Anyway, right, sorry. So this guy, he's Australian.
Mm-hmm.
Bit of a like a backstory when he joined Formula One, because Renault did an announcement saying he was driving, or Alpine saying he was driving for them, and he put this infamous tweet out saying, "Without my consent, Alpine have said I'm driving for them next season. This isn't correct. I'm not driving for them."
Oh, I do remember that scandal, but I can't tie it to a person.
Okay, he drives for McLaren, and he's currently leading the World Championship.
Is it Max Verstappen?
It's not Max Verstappen.
He's not. Max isn't leading the World Championship.
He's not leading the World Championship.
McLaren.
Yeah, you would go on.
Oscar.
Go on.
Piastri.
Oscar Piastri. Yeah. So Oscar. So he's leading the World Championship. It's a bit of an internal battle between the McLarens.
Oh.
And he's got, as well, I'm saying as we speak, there might have been another race since then. As we speak, the last Grand Prix was Azerbaijan. But there might have been another episode, another race since then by the time this comes out. So he's got a lead of about 20 odd points over Lando and 69 points to Max.
Wow.
Yeah. And what's interesting is, so there's 7 races to go, and about, I think there might be 2 sprints as well. So I think if that's right, I think that means there's 195 points left on the board. So Max can win the world championship.
Yeah, you still think he's going to win, don't you?
I think he will do it.
Need to put a bet on it or something.
I should do, yeah. Should do. To be fair, I've literally been saying it since the start of the season, though, because even though the McLaren's got the best car, Max is just that consistent, just keeps getting podiums, and he just needs a bit of infighting between the McLarens or the odd crash here and there. And yeah, so I've been saying since the start of the season he's going to do the world title, and I still believe that.
Wow.
So
if any listeners are also Formula One fans, comment and say, you know, who you think is going to win.
Yeah.
And then we'll see who's right.
We'll see who's right. I mean, mathematically, there's 5 drivers that can still win it. So your 2 McLarens there, well within a shout. Max and then George and Charles Leclerc are outsiders, but
I'd love George to win.
That would be insane. He deserves it. I think, personally, I put him up there. Him and Max are the best 2 for me.
And I like George the best. I just think he's the nicest guy.
Yeah, he is, isn't he?
Yeah.
He deserves a world title. But yeah, anyway, we're getting off on a tangent now. 6 minutes we've been chatting Formula One.
Yeah.
But yeah, welcome to episode 81, the Oscar Piastri special.
Welcome.
So, if you were watching the last episode, we started with a bit of an Ask Speed Squad special, and we said we were inundated with questions such that we'd make it a sort of 2-parter.
Yep.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to conclude that and get through the second part of the questions.
Okay.
So, do you want to start us off, Hayley?
Yep. Let me jump right in.
This was off the back of the pupillage fair back in September, where, you know, we were chatting to people and people were just sending in questions left, right and centre. So, yeah, we're still working through them. And to be honest, we quite like them because it makes our podcast nice and interactive, doesn't it?
Yeah, and we know we're giving you content that you guys want, so it's being driven by you. So keep sending them in to us. We love your questions. You can email us, info@speedmooting.com. You can comment wherever you're watching this, whether that's on Spotify, YouTube, you're watching a clip on social media. Comment below with your questions or get in touch with us and we'll answer them on the podcast. Okay. I have finished the bar course and I want to develop my advocacy skills whilst applying for pupillage.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice?
Okay, that's an interesting question because I was in exactly the same position when I finished the bar course. So you do, you know, a fair amount of advocacy on the bar course and then you finish and that's it. And, you know, it could be 2-3 years before you get into pupillage, and while you're applying for pupillage, you need to keep that skill fresh and you need to talk about ways that you have developed it and why you are a good advocate. So I noticed a massive gap for that. So when I was paralegaling, I found an organisation called Liverpool Speakers Club. Joined that. And, you know, it's not a legal organisation. You do get lawyers in there, but it's nothing to do with the law. And the nice thing with the Speakers Club is you would turn up for each meeting. If you want to, you prepare a speech. You got direct feedback on that speech. You also do a thing called impromptu speaking. So you're given a topic off the cuff and you've got to speak for 3 minutes on that topic. And once again, you get feedback. And the other thing that you'll do at the Speakers Club is at each meeting, there's different roles to be filled. So you had to, you know, 1 week you might be the chairman for the meeting, you might be giving evaluations, you might be doing a general evaluation for the evening as a whole. So you work on so many different skills that are relevant. So that was the one way that I developed my public speaking, and that brought me on in leaps and bounds. My first meeting, I spoke at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I was not very confident. I was reading from a script. And, you know, each week I was given lots of great advice from very experienced speakers and people who weren't particularly lawyers, actually, which I think was also good. And that's what really brought on my communication. So look out for a Speakers Club. But as I say, I noticed the gap because there was nothing law focused when it came to developing advocacy skills. And that's why I set up the Advocacy Club. So the Advocacy Club, it meets online, meets twice a month, open to anyone. So we've got people who are yet to start their legal studies, we've got law students, we've got GDL students, we've got bar students, SQE students, graduates, we've got lawyers in there, so we've got barristers, we've got solicitors, and we've got people from all over the world in this club. So it's particularly helpful if you're from a country that uses a common law system similar to us, but we've got people from outside of common law systems as well. And the idea is, at each meeting, we focus on a different type of advocacy. So we cover submissions advocacy in crime, family, civil, commercial. We do trial advocacy, so you cover your opening speech, your closing speech, your witness handling. and a variety of other forms of advocacy. So you name it, we cover it.
Yep.
And it's all super low pressure. So we give you everything you need in advance. You don't have to do any research. You don't have to do any drafting. All you need to do is really read the papers and prepare. And we prepare all the bundles in such a way that it doesn't matter what stage you're up to, it will make sense and you'll be able to understand it. And at the meetings, we break you off into small breakout rooms. You're with 3 or 4 other people, like-minded people. You perform your piece of advocacy. You share peer-to-peer feedback. You'll learn so much from watching other people, from the feedback that you get, from thinking about other people's submissions to give them feedback. And at the end of each session, I give general advice as well. So, that's a brilliant way to build up your advocacy, and it's really practical advocacy, and the type of advocacy that you would do during pupillage. Yeah. So that's a really good way to do so. The other thing I would say is look for jobs that involve advocacy. So as a paralegal, I used to go to the local county court and I would do very small hearings in front of a district judge. So in district judges' chambers, you're entitled to do that. So it'd be pre-action disclosure applications, infant settlement hearings, stage 3s, good pieces of advocacy that build up those skills. So they're just some points and tips I've got on how you can develop your advocacy once you've finished the bar course.
Yeah. And also, I would add there, John, so you mentioned the Advocacy Club. So if you listen to that and that sounds perfect, that's what you need, that's what you're looking for, then come and join us. The membership is completely flexible and we welcome members at any point in the year.
Yeah.
As John says, it's a different form of advocacy every single month. We'll be soon releasing our timetable, won't we, for the next 12 months, so from January onwards. So if you want to join, you can. It's on our website, speedmooting.com/advocacy-club.
Yeah.
All the information's there and we'd love for you to join us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think beyond that, beyond just the meetings, you get access to exclusive channels on our community hub as well. Mm-hmm. So there's exclusive courses for you. You'll be there with the other members in the chat feature. We've got sort of a feed where people bring up different conversations, how they're preparing, how they're going about different things. So, it's a great community hub to belong to.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Any more questions, Hayley?
Let's take a look. Ooh. How did you choose between the solicitor and barrister route?
Okay. All right. Well, for me personally, when I applied for my law degree, I knew that I wanted to be a barrister. And I think we spoke about this probably about a month ago now. Why did you want to be, the answer to the question, why do you want to be a barrister? And, a lot of people will give, very detailed answers, they're passionate about social justice or, whatever it might be. Mine was quite frankly, I'd seen some TV shows, thought it looked pretty cool, thought I wouldn't mind wearing a sharp suit and arguing for a living. And beyond that, we didn't want to be poor. Quite frankly, neither you nor I come from any money. So we thought, what, being a lawyer looks like a good way to not be poor. So that was my answer for why I wanted to sort of be a barrister. So going into university, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And as time went on, you start the studies. I did mini pupillages, I shadowed barristers, I went to court and thought, yeah, that's definitely the route for me. And I took part in mooting where I could. I'm not going to go through the whole story again as to why there were limited opportunities, but any opportunity I had for mooting, I did take. And that really confirmed for me that advocacy was what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So then beyond that, you got to think, well, I suppose as a solicitor, you can conduct advocacy. And ultimately, cutting a long story short, and I've been through my career path before, but ultimately I did initially qualify as a solicitor and I got my higher right of audience, so I was a solicitor advocate. And whilst I thoroughly enjoyed that, what I found was that ultimately I still wanted to go to the bar. And part of the reason for that was the independence of being in chambers, working for yourself, being self-employed, and the focus, I think, on advocacy and advisory type work. Whereas, as a solicitor, you're involved in the entire process. Because of that, I found that I wasn't in court as often. I'm sure there are solicitor advocates within firms that go to court every single day, but I found that I was balancing my time of doing advocacy with general litigation work, and whilst I enjoyed it to a point, advocacy was what I really enjoyed. So I wanted a career that focused on that, and also that gave me the independence, and also meant that I, as a barrister, you were seen as, you know, someone that comes in later in the proceedings, just conducts conferences, gives advice here and there, and then obviously deals with any elements of advocacy whenever it comes to court for interim hearings, trials, etc. And that's what I wanted, rather than the involvement in the entire process. That's how I came to the decision. And I suppose if you think about it, it was very well thought out, because that's what I wanted to do initially. I actually tried the solicitor route. I did it for 6-7 years, whatever it was, and then still transitioned to the bar.
Here we go. So for me, like you, John, I think when I first went to university, I was thinking of the barrister route, just because that's what you relate to, that's what you see when you watch the programmes, when you watch the movies. It's barristers really that you're watching, particularly, you know, when you watch the American TV shows and stuff. Their attorneys are all pretty much doing what barristers would do over here. But I learned very quickly that public speaking and advocacy, complete opposite to you, wasn't really what I wanted to do.
Okay.
So there's various points in your career, even if you are a solicitor, public speaking and advocacy is still really, really crucial. Not in the same ways. You don't have to stand up in court and present. As John said, some roles do let you do that. But for the most part, for commercial solicitors, that's not what you have to do. You still have to do presentations, though, and speak in meetings and stuff. So public speaking, you can't escape that either route. But for me, it wasn't the part of it that brought me joy. Quite the opposite. So I joined my mooting club, and someone was like, okay, do you want to moot at the next round? Oh, God, no. And I think I probably left my mooting club, and that was all, like, the only piece of advocacy I did for a long, long time was almost mooted. So for me, I thought, oh gosh, no. What's the solicitor route instead? No, that sounds a lot more comfortable for me. You still, you know, need to know the law. You're still conducting the legal work. You're still working with the clients. But when it comes to, you know, standing up and speaking and arguing the point, you can instruct a barrister to do that for you. So I was like, that sounds a lot better. And then the more and more I learned about the solicitor route, doing the work experience when I worked in a law firm, I really enjoyed being on the journey from start to finish with the client. So for me, I wouldn't have been happy just picking up a case and speaking to that client for one day and then maybe never ever being involved in that case ever again. Or if you are, you know, it could be a year, 2 years down the line when you have to do another piece of advocacy. I prefer to be the person that's there with the client throughout. I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes you can have some clients that are absolute nightmares and you wish you weren't the one that they call constantly, but for the most part, I really, really enjoyed that. So that's why I stuck with that route and decided to qualify as a solicitor. I mean, I do say now, I was telling people this at the pupillage fair, if the advocacy club had existed, I'm not just saying this because it's, you know, it's our baby, but if the advocacy club had existed and I had something like that to try in a low pressured environment, I would have given that a go, I think, over things like mooting, because it's just suddenly be in the spotlight. And I didn't want to do that. That didn't make me happy. That didn't make me comfortable. So if there would have been friendlier ways to be introduced to advocacy, I might not have, you know, said no to the barrister route as early as I did. But I think ultimately in my heart of hearts, I was supposed to be a solicitor over a barrister.
Interesting.
Next
Any
question?
more questions? This video is brought to you by Speed Mooting. We are an organisation that help aspiring and junior lawyers. We run online and in-person advocacy and mooting competitions. We do online advocacy and public speaking training, and we run lots of other events to assist people on their legal journey. To learn more, visit our website, speedmooting.com.
Oh, okay. As a criminal barrister and a commercial solicitor, what are the misconceptions about working in your area of law?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Where do we start?
Well, my answer came to me immediately.
Oh, go on, you jump in then.
A misconception about being a commercial lawyer, particularly over a criminal lawyer, is that it's not as stressful. So I always hear people say, oh yeah, it's not as stressful. the legal profession in itself can be very, very stressful, I think, in all areas. I think it's because it's the level of perfectionism that's expected. And, to an extent, rightly so. If you go to a doctor or a surgeon, you expect them to be brilliant.
Yeah.
Your life's in their hands, and it can be the same in some ways for, in the legal profession. So people expect you to almost know everything immediately. So there is a lot of pressure. But I think commercial law is, can be just as stressful and as high pressured as criminal law, just in a very different way.
Yeah.
You're obviously, people's liberties at stake with what you do. But on the commercial side of things, when you're dealing with people's money, or you're battling something that's worth, millions of pounds, or something that people have been working for years and years and years, if it's a huge retail complex and you miss something or something goes wrong and suddenly that project can't complete on time, or somebody's coming to sue your client, or there's a lot of pressure involved.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with directors of multi-million pound companies, believe me, they pile the pressure on sometimes. So yeah, a misconception of commercial law is that it's not stressful. It can be very, very stressful.
Yeah.
So you've got to be able to manage that, and people have different coping mechanisms, which we've talked about before. That wasn't the question today, so I won't go into that again. But yeah, it's a very high pressured area of law.
Yeah. I think in terms of misconceptions about the criminal bar, I think it's I think the misconception is that it's difficult to build a successful practice and a thriving practice, because you see a lot of negativity about the criminal bar. And quite rightly so. Last week we were talking about the backlogs in the criminal justice system, and stemming from that, there's a lot of other negatives that may have a bit of an impact on those that work in the system. But certainly in terms of building a practice as a criminal barrister, I would say that the picture's not as bleak as is made out. So taking for example when I joined the criminal bar. So I was jumping from employment and I worked for the civil service, so I had all the perks, loads of flexi time, good holidays, the pension, all the rest of it that goes with working for the civil service, and that was all well and good. And I thought, well, going into a self-employed role, it's going to take me a while before I build up good connections with solicitors and get a steady flow of work. Much to my surprise, from day one joining Chambers, my clerks had my diary full. It was just constant. And, things chop and change all the time. And as soon as something falls out your diary, something else is in there filling it right away. So there's just so much work at the criminal bar right now. And as a result of that, what that means is that a lot of people are building up practices with quite serious, quite heavyweight work from a very early age, or an early stage in their career. I've been chatting to people in the robing room, more senior barristers, that say they're seeing people who are much more junior than you would expect previously on certain cases. And, you've got to see that as an opportunity to really, when those cases come, assuming you're competent, take it with both hands, run and build up the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that stemmed from that you'll see quite a lot is people talking about money. And you'll often see, I certainly used to see it in the past, where people will say, oh, well, I did this one particular case, it was a bail application, and you only get so much for it. So by the time you factor in how much time I spent reading the papers, travelling to court, waiting in court, spending time with the client in conference, travelling back home, typing my attendance note, and they break it down and they'll say, it's some paltry fee per hour, lower than the minimum wage, and it doesn't really paint the picture that well, because the chances are you wouldn't be travelling the length and breadth of the country for one bail application for a paltry fee. It just doesn't happen. So the reality is, if you're doing something like that, you'd probably be in a more local court and you'd have multiple cases in a single day. So the point I'm making there is that the pay at the criminal bar is, obviously it doesn't compare to commercial bar where you're going to be making your millions and millions of pounds, but or I'm assuming you do anyway. I don't know. I don't know what commercial barristers make, but I assume it's a lot more than those at the criminal bar. But the point I'm making is that you're not going to be on the breadline. You're not going to be poor. You're still going to make a very, very good wage. You know, I make significantly more at the criminal bar than I did in any of my employed roles as a solicitor. So, you know, that's one of the common misconceptions and what puts a lot of people off criminal practice. And I would say, you know, don't be concerned by that, you know, because it's not you know, it's not as bad as you might have seen online.
Yeah. Oh, yours was really positive. I think mine was too bleak now. I need a positive one.
Okay, go on.
A positive misconception. Oh, okay.
Go on.
About commercial law is that it's boring.
Yeah.
And that's not true. It's not boring. We always laugh at this, don't we?
Yeah.
Because we always say when we deal with students a lot and we go to events and we speak to hundreds of people and we're like, oh, who are they more interested to talk to, the commercial lawyer or the criminal lawyer? And more often than not, it is the criminal lawyer. But occasionally, I have students on my side that like commercial law. So for anyone out there that is interested in it, let me promise you faithfully, it's not boring. It's a really exciting area of law. Mine was property litigation. So litigation itself, you know, is really exciting. As I've just said, the stakes can be high, the pressure can be high, but the reward is high as well. You know, you're winning.
Charlie Sheen.
We've just watched a Charlie Sheen documentary. Sorry, I had to do that. But yeah, it's no 2 days are the same. There's an awful lot of law involved as well in property law. That's why I really liked it, you know. Give me a good Landlord and Tenant Act 1954 in a day of the week. I love that. That's my favourite statute. It's quite sad to have a favourite statute, isn't it? But yeah, every day is different. The clients you're dealing with are different. There's a lot of good social things involved in commercial law, you know. I remember once I had to go to a golf club and meet with the clients there and, you know, so we could show me the lay of the land and stuff. So there's a lot of exciting things with commercial law. I promise it's not boring. That's a common misconception.
Yeah, I think, you know, you've hit the nail on the head there because you're going to be dealing with many different clients and, you know, you could go to, as you say, you're going to golf courses or whatever it might be, you know, something linked with your client's business. And I think also, you know, the law itself is not boring. It's quite intellectually stimulating and challenging because I did a couple of commercial briefs. So I've got a mate who's a commercial solicitor and, you know, we were chatting away one Christmas and he goes, oh, do you fancy doing some sort of hearing for me tomorrow? I was like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. So he briefed me on this case. And I think that I did a couple for this particular mate and one of them was all about allocation. So, you know, I can't remember what it was, but trying to get the case from one track to another despite the value. So I had to go through the CPR, looking at, you know, what the requirements are, you know, because obviously principally it's value, isn't it? You know, so you look at the value of the case, which parameters does it fall into, that's the track it goes to. But you can also look at other elements as well, so you know, the complexity of the case. I'm trying to think off the top of my head now, it's years since I've read the CPR.
How many witnesses there are, if you need expert reports.
Exactly, all that. And, you know, there's case law that's tested this as well. So I had to go through and look at what the case law said, look at what the CPR said and prepare my arguments on this. And it was really interesting going to the hearing and having legal arguments over, you know, which track this should fall into. So you'd think, you know, on its face, you'd think that's pretty mundane, but it was actually really intellectually stimulating. And I thoroughly enjoyed that, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, on a personal level, like, you know, I enjoy me my criminal trials and the like, but doing that, you know, venturing in, being a day tripper into commercial law was quite fun. So, you know, I did a few commercial briefs and, you know, by no means is it a boring area of law.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
There you go. I ended on a positive one.
Yeah.
What hobbies or interests help you switch off from legal work?
That's interesting.
That's a good one for you.
That's a good one.
Yours is going to be so much more interesting than mine. But okay. Go on, you go.
So I'll go. So I've got a few, haven't I? So my number one hobby is kart racing. So I do that. So I do a variety of different types of karting, don't I? So I do a little bit of 4-stroke karting, bit of 2-stroke karting. And we travel all over with it, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's been a couple of years since I've done it, but we go up in the summer sometimes to Teesside for the 24-hour kart race. That's good. So you're part of a team, as it says on the tin, 24 hours. You have 100 teams on track, and you do a 100-minute stint. Then you got to come in, refuel, change drivers, etc. And then obviously we do our regular racing at Hooton and other tracks around there. So yes, that's my way of switching off. I thoroughly enjoy that, and it can't. There are busy times when it can be difficult to get it in, but we're really making a conscious effort at the moment, aren't we, to get as much karting in as possible?
Yeah. So my hobbies are a lot more mundane, but I enjoy them just as much. I do, as John says, we travel around, so I like to watch John karting. I've tried it once or twice. It is not for me. There's a place we go to in Tenerife where they do like double karting, isn't it? Is that what it's called?
Well, it's a cart with 2 seats, so you can have a passenger on board, basically.
Yeah, so John like drives at walls while I'm next to him screaming my head off, and that's fun for John, not so fun for me. So yeah, that's not my idea of fun. Watching it's great, but yeah, I'm not an adrenaline junkie in the same way that John is. So for me,
just to clarify, I'm not driving it. What Hayley's talking about there is my driving style is I take a very late turn. And we were talking about this last week with my driving style, weren't we?
Yeah.
But I like to take a late turn in, so that's why Hayley says, I think we'll go into the wall, but it's just me taking a late turn in for the apex.
Yeah, it's like he's driving right at the wall and then last minute, veers off. It's super fun when you don't have any control over the vehicle. But yeah, so what do I do to switch it from the law? So I have a large family, 10 nieces and nephews. So I love to just go home and spend a couple of hours in the chaos. That helps me switch off. Believe me, you can't think about work when you've got a million kids running around. Self-care as well. That's a hobby.
Yeah,
I love
it is. Yeah, it's what you're into, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll go see my salon girl who I've been going to for years and years. Get my nails done, get my lashes done. It's like it's not free, but it's like a therapy session, because she does. Lying on a bed, you have a blanket over you, you just chin wagging for an hour, 2 hours sometimes.
Yeah. That's
a good way to switch off, and you can never beat just a hot bubble bath with a book. Self-care. Just nice. That's does that count as a hobby? To answer in the comments, it might not be.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, because the number of times I'll go, right, I'm going on my simulator for a bit, and then you'll go, yeah, I'm getting in the bath. So it's kind of like what would
we're both switching off.
Yeah, both switching off. Yeah. But I think ultimately the big one for the two of us is holidays.
Yeah.
So, we love our holidays, and you'll probably see on the Instagram, we're always in Tenerife. We've started venturing out to North America as well, haven't we?
Yes.
But yeah, it's good to always have something to look forward to, and we just absolutely make the most of those holidays. So that's our big thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think there's something to say for that, the way we switch off is very, very different separately, but then we can switch off together as well, which is really important. And that's a good life lesson for anybody, isn't it? What your hobby doesn't have to be somebody else's hobby. It's okay if things look very, very different. Find what works for you, find what helps you switch off, and it's fine. It doesn't have to be all bells and whistles or super exciting. A hobby is a hobby.
Yeah, certainly is. Any other questions, Hayley?
We've got time for one more?
Time for one more, I think, just about.
Okay. Ooh. God, guys, you're on fire with your questions this week. Do you believe success is more about talent or persistence?
I
think the two go hand in hand,
I think they do. I think
obviously, natural talent is natural talent. And it's like we play tennis, don't we? Or we try to. Someone can be naturally talented and just be great at it. Someone can be awful. Me. I'm terrible. But if I persisted, I'm sure one day I'll be not so terrible. So, the more you persist, then you can build talent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's elements of both. And, as you say, there's some people who are naturally gifted.
1 sec, I need to sneeze. No, it's gone. Start again.
So I think there are certainly people who are naturally talented, and you see that when it comes to public speaking. Some people, they're just from a young age, they just talk like they could be prime minister. Others, it certainly wasn't a natural skill for me, so it's something that I've had to work towards over time. But I think even when you have got that natural skill, I still think that you need to put some element of effort in.
Yeah.
But I think when you haven't, and I think I'm certainly someone who's not got the the natural raw ability there, and it's something I've had to work on over time. And the question was about persistence, and it would be very easy for someone like myself, and even yourself, where we've struggled to get into this profession and go, do you know what? It's not for us.
Yeah.
It's very hard. But we've said no, we continued and continued and continued. And, my ultimate goal was to get to the bar. And from finishing my bar course, it took me 11 years to start in practice as a barrister. And that's just through sheer persistence of saying, well, do you know what? These are the skills I need, and built them up over time. So I was trying, when I was going for pupillage, I was talking about this, joining the speakers club, doing what I could there to build up the skills, working as a paralegal, doing what I could to build up those skills there. But even when I qualified as a solicitor, I was still doing everything I can to build up my arsenal of skills so that eventually someone would have to say yes. These chambers, they can only say no for so long.
Yeah.
Someone has to say yes once I've built up that experience. And all I needed was one yes to get myself in the door, to get myself practicing and build up that practice as a barrister. So ultimately, I think that both are equally as important. But there's particularly if you're someone like myself, maybe like yourself, where you think that there's not that natural talent there, you just got to have that persistence. Just keep knocking on doors, keep building up your skills, and doing what you can to get to where you need to be.
Yeah, it's almost like a diagram. You've got talent here, you've got persistence here, and you've got two multi-arrowheads because they just lead back and forth to each other.
Yeah.
You can have the talent, but if you don't persist with it, you'll lose it. You can not have the talent, but as long as you persist, you'll get the talent. So it just constantly. What's the word for that diagram?
I know what you mean, but I don't know. At first, though, you're going to talk about like a Venn diagram.
No,
or something,
not a Venn diagram. Not your favourite one. No,
not my. Interesting. Do you know who invented the Venn diagram?
Someone called Venn something or something Venn.
Yeah, John Venn.
Yeah.
The Veninator.
The Veninator. Yeah. So to answer your question, they go hand in hand: talent and persistence.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good note to end on.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to end. So we hope you've enjoyed listening to the podcast. I've certainly enjoyed recording. Hayley, have you enjoyed recording?
I've enjoyed recording it, John.
And if you are still listening at this point, drop us a comment down below. Venn diagram.
That's a random one, but we'll stick with it.
What'll be funny is like people will find this episode and just see loads of comments underneath. Venn diagram. Right. Anyway, on that note, we're going to stop recording and see you again next time.
See you guys.
Cheerio. Take care. Bye bye.